Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. This is Great Powerful Trixie. And Great Powerful Trixie is the proud owner of a Type 59. Yes, I know, I'd be jealous myself if I didn't already have one. Then again, the Type 59 is not the tank that it used to be. It still has a legendary reputation, but, well, it's received a couple of nerfs since it was introduced and removed from sale. And it's also been fairly badly affected by power creep. Now that doesn't mean it's a bad tank. It's definitely not a bad tank. It's not a great tank. And it definitely doesn't live up to its legendary reputation anymore. Nevertheless, in the opening stages of this battle, but it's still a fairly good, reliable, if not spectacular machine. And Great Powerful Trixie is going to get a chance to put it to the test very, very early on in this particular battle, here on the Mannerheim line, when he runs into not one, not two, not three, but four enemy tanks at almost exactly the same time. And two of them are E25s. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, place your bets. Who is going to win in the showdown between the legendary overpowered monsters? The two E25s backed up by the AMX 1357F and the P43, or the getting slightly past its prime but still basically got it where it counts, Type 59, driven by the Great Powerful Trixie. Okay, that's it. All bets are off. The combatants have entered the battle. There's one E25, and he's missed, and there's the other. And they're either feeling very confident or they've just realised that Great Powerful Trixie is here completely alone. So they take their brave pills, strap their man pants on, and immediately screw it all up. One's on his back, the other, well, Trixie could probably have finished him off with a shot, but it's more fun to push him into the water. And that, of course, is when player 3 enters the fight, the P43, who has also overdosed on brave pills. Yeah. Hang on a second, did you say there were 4 tanks involved in this fight? Yes, there were. There's the AMX 1357F, and there goes the AMX 1357F. The first E25 explodes after flipping himself, and that just leaves the P43 desperately trying to get out of the water, and, well, what can you say? Looks like the Type 59 still got it. Well, anyway, moving along swiftly onto today's main event, and here on the Mountain Pass map, we're going to join Oppenheimer in the E100, a machine that is sometimes referred to as the Heat 100, because of the amount of special ammunition E100 drivers typically fire. The thing is, if we're going to be completely fair about this, in the past, the penetration of that 150mm gun firing on piercing shells was pretty terrible for a tier 10 heavy tank. Which meant that you basically had to aim for weak spots. The only problem was the accuracy of that 150mm gun was pretty terrible as well. Not just for a tier 10 tank, but for a tank of any tier. Which meant good luck hitting those weak spots. So it's really no surprise that a lot of E100 players just took the easy option and rolled their face all over the 2 key on their keyboard instead. But at the same time, as we all know by now, people who play online multiplayer games often find thinking to be far too much like hard work, and so it was often quite hilarious to see people driving E100 spamming gold at everything that they could have penetrated with high explosive instead. That is not the case today. Oppenheimer does have 15 rounds of gold ammo loaded onto his tank, because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And today, he's basically not going to need it. The same is not true of the tanks that he's going to be facing, at least at first. He's going to have a lot of gold fired back at him, but we're not crying about it. There are a lot of tier 8 tanks lying in wait around the corner of this mountain. And if you were in their position and you saw an Object 705A and an E100 rolling around the corner ahead of you, you'd probably be frantically stabbing the 2 key as well. That, I'm afraid, is just the way World of Tanks is. As long as you have heavily armoured machines like this, and a 2-tier matchmaking spread, Wargaming are going to continue monetising the tiers of tier 8 players as they empty their pockets as fast as they can stab the left mouse button by fruitlessly bouncing gold ammo off the front of heavily armoured tier 10 tanks. Like this. That is just the way the game is. Ironically, of course, it's the regular armour-piercing, non-gold ammunition fired by the T-26E5 up there that's actually inflicted the first bit of damage on Oppenheimer, although he was struggling to get into cover behind this small patch of raised ground from the ST-1's gun up ahead of him, and was presenting a bit of a broadside. The Leopard is feeling very brave. I mean, that tank has a good gun, but it doesn't have any armour. Might be a better idea to wait for the big boys to go around the corner. Right, there's the ST-1. You should probably really shoot the ST-1 first. I mean, the T-26E5 can't really hurt you at that angle, so yeah, actually, let's shoot the ST-1 first. Especially now we've got the side of his turret to shoot at. And yep, he did just take one in the back of the turret from a teammate. Yes, it was the Leopard. Yes, it was gold. No, nobody's surprised. Doesn't even apologise, because random battle teammates. Well, they've successfully crushed or driven off all of the opposition on this flank, who, like that Tiger 2 up there, who seems awfully brave, were mostly tier 8s with the exception of the ST-1, and to be fair to the ST-1, he looked like he was more or less completely stock, so not a huge challenge. The enemy base defenders, of course, are getting increasingly frantic. There's a Scorpion G up there, although not for much longer. He's not alone up there, however. The STG that Oppenheimer first encountered down the road behind him has retreated back to the rocks overlooking the enemy base. But Oppenheimer doesn't really care about an STG. He's just going to keep the tank angled and continue to bounce his gold. He's got bigger fish to fry. 909 health on a bat chat. The ammo rack located at the rear of the turret? Yep. There's 909 extra damage. Now, pay attention to the Leopard back there. You'd think that he'd be going up the hill to finish off the STG and possibly kill the enemy artillery as Oppenheimer and Rama up ahead in the Object 705A head down the riverbed in order to get some flanking opportunities on the enemy big boys. You'd think that, but given that he's so far demonstrated an inability to tell the difference between a friendly tank and an enemy tank, he is instead completely ignoring the STG behind him, and instead hooking around the road slightly to the north so he can join Oppenheimer and Rama in the feeding frenzy on these enemy top tier tanks from the bridge just above. And oh boy, is that decision going to come back and bite him in the arse. Meanwhile, Oppenheimer and Rama in the Object 705A continue to feast on the complete lack of situational awareness of all of these enemy tanks. I mean, at some point one of them is going to turn around and at least look in this direction. Oh, there we go. One of them did turn around and look in this direction. Although the same could be said of the driver of the Leopard on the road above and behind them, as the STG finally leaves the cover of the rocks overlooking the cliff and bites him in the arse too. I know, right? Who could have possibly seen that one coming? Well, the writing appears to be well and truly on the wall for the driver of this IS-4 with an Object 705A in front of him and an E100 closing in around his flank. And with the destruction of the IS-4, that leaves only an enemy T110E5 up ahead, threatening the safety of the friendly artillery as the STG pumps a quick shot into the rear of the 705A. Fear not, Batchat 15555, the cavalry is here, you are rescued. And so naturally the friendly artillery shows his gratitude by suiciding, because scumbags are going to be scumbags. That just leaves the T110E5, who has undoubtedly turned himself around, dug himself in, loaded the gold, and is preparing to sell his life dearly. However, he's probably only going to get one shot off with a 705A and an E100 shooting at him. However, artillery takes advantage of the fact they're both sitting right next to each other while spotted by the T110E5 to hit them both with a high explosive shell. Rama decides that he can handle a pair of tier 8s and an artillery, assuming the Schwarzpanzer up to the north and the enemy base doesn't find and deal with him first, and that leaves Oppenheimer to push on into the base to see if he can find the enemy T-44. So with Rama heading back, because, well, let's face it, who doesn't like artillery kills? And it looks like he's going to get one, because there is the M53-55, and yep, he's got him. Meanwhile, the surviving Schwarzpanzer on the team, presumably getting sick and tired of searching for that elusive STG, decides that the best way to flush him out is to sit in the cap circle and make him come to you. Bit of a risk, although we don't know how much health the Schwarzpanzer has, because you have to assume that the STG is probably going to get the first shot off, but we know the STG's a one-shot kill, We don't know whether or not the Schwarzpanzer is. As it turns out, his plan does work. The STG does pop up on the map. Presumably they're exchanging a couple of shots with each other now, but the STG either bounced or didn't do enough damage to kill the Schwarzpanzer, and he only has to hit him once, and he does in fact get the kill. And that just leaves the T-44, who, let's be honest here, he stood no chance when he ran into these two at the start of the game, and he stands even less chance now. And that is 10 kills without a single round of gold ammunition fired by Oppenheimer in the E100 here on the Mountain Pass map. It's kind of ironic though, isn't it, that the very first two tanks that they ran into, bottom tier, tier 8 mediums, were the last two surviving tanks on the enemy team. At this point, the more observant amongst you may have already noticed that there are only 14 kills shared between the three surviving team members on Oppenheimer's team. Nobody else killed anything. So what happened to that last enemy tank? Well, that was this T-54 lightweight. And he threw himself to his doom while trying to get away from the surviving Schwarzpanzer 58 on the team. And so with that mystery solved, that's it for today in World of Tanks. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.